Manasvi, we are live now. You can please start the session now.
Thank you. Hello, namaste. Welcome to ForOptom Optometry Updates Expert live panel discussion. Today we have with us esteemed optometrists in field of corporate optometry, and we are here to discuss about career in corporate optometry. This session is live on YouTube, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please go ahead and hit the red subscribe button right now. My name is Manashvi Karki, and I will be moderating the discussion today. So let's begin by welcoming our panelists. Our first panelist is Mr. Nilesh Thite. A brief introduction. Mr. Thite is a postgraduate in optometry with over 18 years of teaching experience, 3 years of corporate experience at Bausch Lomb India, and over 5 years of managing educational programs globally for the IACLE. He is also a fellow of the International Association of Contact Lens Educators, British Contact Lens Association, and American Academy of Optometry. Welcome to the panel, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Similarly, our next panelist is Ms. Neha Chaurasiya. Ms. Neha has completed her Bachelor's of Optometry from Lotus College for Optometry and Master's from Chitkara University, Punjab. She also did a fellowship in the posterior segment from LVPEI, Hyderabad, and is currently pursuing a PhD from University KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. She worked as a senior optometrist at Kamdar Eye Clinic, Mumbai for a year and was full-time faculty at Lotus College of Optometry for 2 years. She is currently working as an optometrist trainer at Lenskart for the last 2 years. Welcome to the panel, ma'am, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We also have with us Mr. Shravan Kumar Dattamgar. Mr. Shravan is an optometry graduate and an FBDO qualified from ABDO College, UK, and MBA graduate having work experience in corporate optometry from 18 years. He is currently working for the Carl Zeiss India Vision Care Product Training Department. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Shravan, and welcome to the panel. Next up, we have Mr. Rupam Sinha. Mr. Rupam is a professional services manager at Cooper Vision, India. He has a vast experience in corporate optometry. He has worked as specialist at Dr. Shroff's Charity Eye Hospital. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Rupam, and welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
So without further ado, let's start the discussion, starting with the basics, of course. So what does corporate sector actually mean, and how is it related to optometry? I'm taking Mr. Nilesh's advice here, and we'll start with Ms. Neha.
For corporate, actually, apart from the textbook definition, if I would want to say that corporate for me is an ocean of opportunities. So ideally, corporate is a sector where it is an organization or a company which deals with different small sectors of company which deals directly with the customer. So basically, corporate is an organization which is like business to business. So for example, SLR is a company which gives lenses to stores, to retail optical stores or chains. So similarly, this is SLR is a corporate. And retail sector is which is the one which deals directly with the customers. For example, Lenskart is a chain of optical outlets which deals directly with the customers. So corporate is a company or an organization which is basically related to business. And for me, if I for my personal experience, and if I want to say, it is an ocean of opportunities where you can grow in your career. So, and how it is related to optometry, anything which is related to optical aids, eyes. I think day in and day out we apply optometry knowledge, what we have studied in our colleges, in our bachelors and masters, and day to day it is related to optometry itself. So anything related with eyeglasses or contact lenses, it is related to optometry. So corporate is directly related to optometry like that.
Thank you, Ms. Neha. Mr. Shravan, would you like to add anything over here?
Yeah. See, I mean, my opinion is like, see, if you look into corporate sector of, every trade, today we're dealing with, apart from optometry, let's talk about biscuit manufacturing industry, right? So there are like, manufacturing units separate, and as well the day-to-day, operation unit separate. So there you have supply chain, marketing, sales, all teams sits in one place, and manufacturing sits in some other place. So when you talk about the technical part of the particular product, it lies only in the manufacturing stage. Whereas in the day-to-day operations part, supply chain, marketing, sales, So technical skill or technical requirement is not much needed. So that's one biggest thing what I feel in optometry field, because in our trade, be it eyeglasses manufacturing company, be it contact lens manufacturing company, be it surgical diagnostic or surgical instruments or medical diagnostic, also in optical retail. So in every part of our industry, optometry is an integral part. It's like backbone. So without backbone, we can't stand, we can't sit. So it's something like that. So without optometry, so corporate is collapse. Corporate will collapse without optometry. I think that's what it is. My experience is. So optometry is a very, very integral part of corporate. It could be anything. It could be corporate retail. It could be corporate manufacturing. It could be also, even if you get into supply chain, even if you get into marketing, even if you get into sales. So in every part of corporate sector in our trade, optometry is a very integral part. So that's what is my experience is.
Thank you, Mr. Shravan. Mr. Nilesh, so when we compare the career option, most of the students would go for clinical career rather than corporate. So why do you think that is the case?
That is what happens is, as a first year student, when you join optometry, some of us are not even sure about what optometry is and what all, various opportunities in optometry profession that we can have. So when you start learning optometry, you study anatomy, physiology, etc., and then you go on and on in second and third year. By the end of second and third year, you are so much into that clinical practice mode that you're talking about refraction, various instrumentation, various investigations, and so on. So somehow you just get into that clinical mode. And during your internship, again, you're either posted in the hospitals or sometimes you're posted in an optometry clinic also. So I think the course itself is designed in such a way that you need more and more practicing optometrists who can have sufficient clinical skills. And I don't see anything wrong with that. So I don't think that you need to have everyone thinking about joining a corporate organization. I think there has to be a balance. You need to have a good number of people coming out of optometry courses who should be really good with their clinical skills, and they offer their clinical expertise to the patients, to the public, right? That's how the profession grows. And there's limited scope, not scope, I would say, but limited requirement in the corporate sector. If everyone coming out of each institute wants to join corporate, do you think we have enough opportunity to absorb all of them? We may not have, right? So I think it's a good balance, and I don't think it is wrong for an optometry student to think more clinically and coming out thinking, I want to become a clinician. There are a few students like we have Rupam here, who joined a retail sector and then who came up and joined, let us say, corporate. I have a few more examples who immediately after completing optometry joined corporate as a fresher. So there are a few students who are inclined in that direction, and I think that's a beautiful mix to me. I think it's a beautiful mix of corporate clinical skills and other opportunities that optometry offers, and that's why the profession becomes so beautiful, right? That it offers you a beautiful blend of opportunities. So I'm okay with that, actually.
Mr. Rupam, anything that you would like to say here?
Yeah, rather, if you really ask me, if a student does not have a proper fellowship or internship, it is always better to join a hospital or an institution first. You join a hospital or a retail because you get that initial knowledge. So whatever you have read so far, you put that into practice. You understand that, and that is what is going to make your basics stronger and is going to make your future much more better, because then you will understand things in a much better way. So if somebody is absolutely fresher and do really want to join a clinical practice, they're more than welcome. Because when you come into the corporate, when you see corporate optometry, a part of it will deal with you dealing with patients. So that will become much more smooth at the later stages if your basics is very, very clear. Then you can grasp the higher things in the later stages. So I think it is not wrong, and rather I would encourage to do that. So if you're a fresher, have a clinical exposure and have a retail exposure before you join corporate. I think that is a good sign, and that is what is going to help the individual to succeed in life.
So while
Not
we're
just
on
in
this,
not just in corporate, even in a clinical field, if he continues in that.
Of course. While we're in the topic of the career options, so where do you see the corporate sector as a career option for the young optometrist, Mr. Rupam?
If you ask me, the corporate sector is budding with all the new corporates coming in, all the retail chains growing. I can see the lens card growing exponentially. Then there are lens crafters who has a fantastic part. Then there are a lot of manufacturing companies will come into India. Then there is obviously instrumentation parts, IOL parts. So it's a budding sector, obviously, and it will depend on the individual's preference. Because I think that, again, I'll repeat myself what I said in the last answer. It is always better to start with a retail. Even corporate, if you see, hospitals are also corporates, like larger hospitals like Shroff, where I have been a part of. It's a part of a corporate organization. It's a part of iShare. So, even hospitals are a part of corporate as well. And so, to start with, they can start with retails and hospitals. And then once the knowledge base is absolutely solid, then they can always go into professional services and trainings and teachings and all of these parts. Then that makes sense. And if you ask me, the corporate sector is really budding on that part.
Thank you, Mr. Rupam. Ms. Neha, would you like to add anything here? What do you
Career, yes. For the budding optometrist, I would agree with Rupam sir that we have a lot of new companies coming in, like we have LensCrafter. LensCrafter is self-expanding. LensCrafters, ClearDeco.com, then Cool Wings, and so many companies coming up. They will require more and more optometrists. And also in these the corporate world or the retail sector, I would say that I would see these budding optometrists growing a lot. So I would just give an example. I have few of my optometrists who joined retail sector as a mere optometrist, and within 3-4 years I see them as leading a team. So that is the career growth they get it here, and and the expansion what we are giving it in this field. I think that's why there they have the opportunity to grab in and come out. Yes, that if they are passionate about getting it, they should be liking it. If they are liking the clinical part, they can get into the clinical sector. But in career opportunities in the corporate world, I would say first is the expansion which is coming up with the new companies coming up, and the growth they are getting it here within a short span of period. So that will be my opinion.
Mr. Shravan, so if an optometrist wants to, so how can one get into the corporate world, and how competitive or difficult it is?
To get into corporate world, for a fresher, because of having no experience background, right? Somebody has an experience, it's much easier to get into corporate, because of reference will be there. Reference of previous work organizations, or reference of seniors, right? Colleagues will be always a helpful thing. But for a fresher, I think the best way is campus recruitment. Most of all the optometry institutes nowadays are offering campus recruitment. That could be one better way to enter into corporate world, as well, taking help from the seniors, and also registering oneself into various job portals like Naukri and Monster and all stuff. I think that's the way to get into corporate world. And before getting into corporate world, I think it is good to introspect, because I've seen many people are just joining corporate because of the glamorous part of the corporate world, and then later they realize it's a mismatch for them. I think that's going to be waste of time. Let's say somebody who is inclined towards more clinical side, a hardcore clinician, just because of his friend or his someone of his relative into optometry field, or somebody told him you should go to corporate where you can get better name and better money. So I think that shouldn't be the criteria. So you should always introspect into yourself. So what is your interest area, and if you're not interested into something, so sooner or later you have a clash. You have internal clash within your own self, and that will make you totally dissatisfied. And trust me, where there is no satisfaction, even if you earn 10 lakhs per month, that life is waste. And that's what is my opinion. That's what is my experience is.
Shravan, you had done introspection, right?
Yeah, I've done from the day one up into corporate sector.
Mr. Shravan, you talked about experiences that you look for in an applicant. So what sort of experiences are we talking about?
See, the experience wise, for a fresher, absolutely no experience, right? So he has no experience. But definitely a corporate recruiter, who want to recruit a fresher optometry graduate, the best quality what they look into is flexibility and down to earth personality and not expecting too much. This also I've seen in some optometry students to expecting too much. Like, I'm getting out of my optometry graduation. I'm an optometry graduate. So I should get these things from the day one of I'm getting into corporate. If someone of you having that kind of mentality, please come out of it. Corporate is glamorous. At the same time, it's not so easy to climb the corporate ladder. You need to really put a lot of hard work. At the same time, doubt to earth personality is very much required and flexibility. Sometimes you have to do much beyond of your job responsibility. It's not like defined role. Like say if you're into retail sector or if you're into clinical sector, it's very clear. As a clinician, as a clinical optometrist, you have to do this, nothing beyond that. But whereas in the corporate, like every day is into challenging work time. Sometimes you have to do much different than what you're supposed to do that. So that is the one most important area where a recruiter will look into. Flexibility is very important, and of course good mix of hard work and smart work. Honesty, smart work, hard work, good mix, and innovative thinking. So these are the added advantages for a fresher.
Thank you, Mr. Shravan. Mr. Rupam, so how competitive or difficult is the corporate sector really for optometrists?
If you really ask me that question, that I have a huge answer that I've written yesterday, so I can tell you that on that part. So it is actually not very difficult, okay? But you would require a few of a skill set on your own part that is required to cope up with the corporate. And I cannot agree more with Mr. Shravan. What he said is you would require a positive attitude. Your communication skill is very important. Your relationship building capability is very important, because you are going to deal with a lot of people from different backgrounds, social, economic, religious, as well as educational background. Your eagerness to learn is also very important in this manner. And how you treat people, how you behave with people, that is important. If you have a business sense, that is an added advantage in the corporate world, which you can easily cope up with the corporate culture. And the rest, you have to have a very good presentation skill. So Microsoft Office, you should know by like the back of your hands. If you are able to know the Microsoft Office like the back of your hands, and with all the skill sets like attitude, communication skill, self-presentation, flexibility, and obviously your eagerness to learn, I don't think it is too hard to cope up with the corporate world. So you might not have the product knowledge that is not required in the beginning, but at least you have to have a basic optometry knowledge. So if you're entering into a contact lens industry, you should have at least have the basic knowledge of what is a push-up test, or how to see a centration. That is important. Then the corporate teaches you about the product. That is not important in the beginning, but your your core optometry knowledge is very important to cope up in the corporate world. So a mix of all of these things, I would say.
I just want to add one point to what Rupam has said. It again depends on which domain of the corporate world you want to get into career. So let's say if you wanted to get into only technical domain, let's say the clinical application specialist. So there your hardcore optometry skills will really help you a lot. If it is in the surgical field, you must be very well versed with the entire surgical one. If you're into dispensing optics is very important. Contact lens subject. Or there are some optometrists who are switching immediately into marketing. Let's say 1 year I'm working to technical domain, immediately they get into marketing. In such kind of roles, hardcore optometry skills might not be required, as Rupam has very well said. So that's where you require to have cross-functional skills. I think this is one of the biggest area where optometrists should look into that. One must have cross-functional skills, because you will be dealing with different types of people in the corporate world. Someone from the marketing background, someone from sales background, someone from supply chain background, someone from quality background, right? So you need to have this cross-functional skills as well, communication skills and flexibility. I think these are the skill sets. Sometimes if your work type is into more marketing, so you might not require to have too much of optometry skills. You just need to have how to cope up with different level of people in the corporate world, how to manage people, right? And having right mindset, I think that will give good success in corporate world.
Mr. Nilesh, anything that you would like to add here?
I'm just wondering, have they answered all the questions also? following questions that you might be asking. I'm just wondering. So if there is something left for me, I'll just try to attempt.
I think we've enlisted what a corporate employer looks into in an optometrist
Okay.
while hiring them. So what I want to know is basically if one is really interested to get into corporate world. So what do they have to do?
What do they have to do to get into corporate, right?
Yes.
Okay, first. So let me just add a couple of things to what these guys have said. Most of these things I definitely agree with. One thing is generally underrated, which I want to emphasize, is domain knowledge, optometry subject knowledge. They touched upon that, but I want to highlight it again. Because why would an employer hire an optometrist when the employer has a choice of hiring anyone? They want to hire you as an optometrist mainly because of your optometry knowledge, right? If it is like Shravan said, later on you can think of marketing and sales and other things, but that is later. The first time an employer is coming to your institute to hire an optometry student is because the employer wants your optometry knowledge and then the additional stuff that you can offer, right? So please do not underestimate the importance of optometry knowledge. And this I keep telling people. If I keep telling the professionals who are currently into currently into corporate and working very well in corporate, also I tell them the same thing. You are because you are whatever you are mainly because of your optometry knowledge. You will be respected in the field because of your optometry knowledge first. Okay, so invest in your optometry knowledge, whatever it takes, right? So that is extremely important. Generally people think, and I've written a blog about it long back, that corporate is basically something like a Bollywood in optometry, right? You only see the glamour, you only see the movie, you see the glamorous lifestyle, you don't see what is behind it. And behind it is basically knowledge, behind it is basically hard work, behind it is a lot of preparation, communication skills, business knowledge, interpersonal skills. This is all what you have behind what you see in the 3 hours movie. So all that preparation is extremely important when it comes to corporate. Now coming to your question, as if I'm a fresher, if I'm just graduating and I want to join corporate, what should I do, right? So I would typically say that ensure that your knowledge is good. Now suppose you have zeroed on a particular industry, and I'm not saying a company per se, name of the company, but let us say that I love contact lenses and I want to become a part of a contact lens industry. So the first thing I need to do is I need to have enough knowledge and necessary skills in the contact lens domain. I need to have some knowledge about the contact lens research, or I would prepare the latest information that is around the latest research in contact lens. Because anyone who is coming to talk to me about contact lens is going to ask me, so what is the new thing happening? So what do you know about multifocal contact lenses? What do you know about scleral contact lenses? What do you think about myopia control contact lenses, right? So the latest information in that field is what you must have. And then you can how do you go about is basically, now life is becoming much easier for youngsters in terms of connecting with people. Right now there would be around 70, 80, 100 people just talking, just listening to this telecast, live telecast. So any one of them can just send us an offline message saying, I'm a fourth year student and I'm interested in doing this, how do I go about it? And then people are there to guide them. And if you're around the final year, prepare a good CV first of all. Prepare a very good 2-page CV, which gives a gist of what you are doing. So that is an important thing. After your knowledge and skills, prepare a good 2-page CV. Take professional help if you need. Start connecting with people informally and then formally. There are multiple optometric groups. There are campus interviews happening in your institutes. Your educators would have good connect with some of the industries that you would want to join. So these are various ways you can start getting into the groove. You can at least start thinking on the lines as to how do I reach out to people. And trust me, today reaching out to people is very easy. Somebody can just drop an offline message and people would respond. You have LinkedIn, you have Facebook pages, you have within optometry, you have domains, you have certain platforms that offer employment offers, etc. So there's a lot of action going on in the field. Make best use of that. But before that, polish yourself a little bit, at least make yourself presentable enough to approach, right?
course. Thank you, Mr. Nilesh. Ms. Neha, so is corporate sector all about business, or are there any social and clinical aspects to it too?
The corporate sector is all about business. No, definitely there is social aspects and ethical aspects as well. So if you, I'm just giving you an example of refractive error. Okay. So for people, refractive error is one of the leading causes of blindness throughout the world, and especially in our country. So uncorrected refractive error, if we are rich, if we are going in the sectors, if we see that the optometrists are reaching out even in the domain, the corporate sector is also reaching out in the villages now, where there are industries, where are big companies like IACLE or and even Lenskart, if I say, we are reaching out to these kind of villages where the eye care is not developed, and where we are unable to give spectacles to these people or correct them or correct the refractive error. So I think socially, every company will have CSR activities, corporate social responsibility activities running, where in minimum affordable prices, the camps are run, where the eyes are tested, and this is the social responsibility of the company towards the society. So it is not all about business all the time. Yes, earning money is one thing, but I think reaching to people, getting the eyes tested, corrected, giving eyesight, giving framed classes. I think this is one of the social activity which all the companies or who are into the eye care sector is doing. So I think ethically we are responsible, and socially also we are responsible for it. So it is not all about business all the time, but yes, it is about social responsibility, where we headed where the companies are into it and provide and take care of people too. So apart from the business, these are our social responsibilities and ethical practices what we do.
Thank you, Ms. Neha. We have a question from our audience. Is MBA degree necessary if you want to be successful in corporate world? So I would like to start this with Mr. Shravan first. I think he has MBA
because
degree.
he has done MBA.
Yes, exactly.
I was just waiting for this question actually, Manashwi. There is no discussion around corporate without this question. So Shravan, go first.
Yeah. So MBA, I understand. So business MBA will give you, academically also certain skills of business management. But before
what kind of skills?
Before this, I just want to ask Mr. Jitesh, right? Yeah. Before this, who has asked this question? Mr. Jitesh?
This question is from Mr. Monil.
Mr. Monil. Okay, Mr. Monil, first you need to ask yourself, what is that you want to get into optometric career? Is it that business side, or is it that technical side? If it is purely technical side, let's say you are getting into a role like a clinical application specialist into surgical and into contact lens companies, or technical specialist into this optical retail or manufacturing companies. If that is your goal, if that is your objective, and you are very clear, so that's where you wanted to, climb the ladder of corporate. So then technical skills, technical qualification will be sufficient. But again, MBA will be definitely an added advantage, no matter even if you're into pure technical domain as well. If you're having a team, let's say you're alone managing yourself, you are into the role of clinical application specialist, you're alone, right? So for that, you need your own skills of clinical application. Then you're going to handle 10 people under you, reporting to you. So then MBA will be definitely going to help you. So it is like growing forward, right? For the growth perspective into corporate, MBA is definitely going to, add value. It is better, like say, instead of working for 2 to 3 years, then getting into MBA, the best method is finishing after your graduation. Then you have to think, as I said, you have to do a lot of introspections. Like, is it like into teaching I should take my career, or is it into corporate, or is it into, hospital sector, or is it into further optometry education? So this is the question you need to ask yourself. So most of the optometry students, what I have seen, so they don't do this. So because of that, after 2 to 3 years of work, then they'll again go back to education of MOptom, or they'll go back to something else. Instead of that, during your optometry third year, fourth year, please start thinking, ask yourself deep questions. So what is that, I should be in my life? So you need to be really, really asking this question to your own self. Don't go with anybody else. Sometimes what happens, your seniors who joined into corporate might be earning big money. Don't get deviated because of this corporate glamour. You need
Like
to
so.
ask yourself, because if you don't ask yourself, after 4 years, 5 years, you may be cursing yourself, why I'm in the wrong place. Maybe your hardcore innerness is telling you into more clinical. So
Hmm.
please ask, because every individual is different. You are different, I'm different, and Sir is different, right? Everybody is different, liking. So you need to see what is your inner feeling. And then if your inner feeling is tapping you that corporate is my, career path. So then after finishing your optometry graduation, you can get on to the MBA. Then later on, you can come and join a corporate world. I think that could be the better way, instead of working for some hospital sector, then doing MBA, then coming to corporate. That may not be the right way.
So
Yes, sir. Yeah.
is have Rupam and Neha also completed MBA or no?
No.
No.
No. Okay. So that hasn't really affected your career so far.
No, sir. Actually, if you ask me, Neha, you want to say something, or can I just pitch
You
in
can
over here?
continue. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So if you ask me, I sometimes think is, the people whom I've seen doing corporate, obviously Shravan is an exception. So whom I've seen MBA doing MBA, they normally compromise their optometry knowledge for MBA when they go for it at the later stages. And on my corporate experience, I have always seen people keep on getting internal promotions. So it depends on your knowledge and how you can put it into practicality. So obviously an MBA coming into a system, let us take as a retail segment, for example, MBA coming into a frame segment or a lens segment would not understand the crux of the business and how we are doing it, how we are handling customers. But if you're there on the ground level with the 2 or 3 years of experience and you are good at it, the company will always look for an internal promotion rather than hiring an MBA from outside. So it might not be an added advantage, but obviously a bit of an MBA scale is required. So if you can develop it on ground when you are doing work, it is always good. So for example, I'll tell you, for example, if there is a retail, right? If I'm working in a retail, and I have worked in retail for quite a few years of my life. So if you actually work in a retail, and this is a complaint I always have, that why does an optometrist in retail does not become a store manager in the initial stage? Because they are the best suited for a store manager, believe me on that. But they don't become that. The reason behind that is they do not have that basic analytical skill that we think MBA is going to give us. So what is fast in, fast out? What is the loss of opportunity? If a customer has worked in, why they have got out? So these basic data keeping and data analysis, if you're able to do, I think internal promotion happens much more faster. And what I also think is, if you go and do if you go and do an MBA, you are losing those vital years. So when you come back, your place is taken by somebody else already. And corporate does not become vacant that easily, right? So for example, I'll just tell you, if you see the contact lenses company right now, right? And I'll tell a few names of my friends. We are very good friends. If you see Raj, he's young, he's heading Bausch Lomb. If you see Rajesh, he's young, he's heading Alcon. If you see me, I am young, I am heading Cooper Vision. So I don't think we'll leave these positions very soon, as of now, if everything goes well. So if you have lost that opportunity during that point of time, you might not get in onto this. So it is always better to have your skills developed related to the job you are looking for at the ground level. So because if you work on the ground level properly, I think that knowledge is sufficient enough for your higher authority to give you an internal promotion, and that happens much more faster. So that is my take on to
I
that.
would like to add, Rupam sir here. Yes, the skills are really very important. But if you want to, I have not done an MBA, but I truly believe that if you complete your bachelor's and you want to study further, after completing bachelor's, immediately get into your higher studies, complete it, and then get into job if you have time, if you are young. And because that period of learning and development, I think you can give your 100% there. But if you've already got into business, you're working there, and then switching from there to your full-time MBA programs, then it will actually hamper your both the things. And part-time MBAs, I'm not sure how well they are planned, but yes, full-time MBAs do hold a place in corporate world. I personally feel that if somebody is recruiting MBA holders from outside, definitely you hold a stand. But if you have a degree from if you have a complete if you have a full-time MBA degree from a reputed college, I think that really matters. Yes, but if you're getting into your programs after you've completed your bachelor's and learning, but if you're joined somewhere, if you're working and you drop it there and then you start doing your MBA, then it might have some kind of confusion there, that part. So I would request Nilesh sir or Rupam sir and Chavan sir to pitch in for this. But I personally feel that completing your studies first and then getting into work job, or if you're getting into job, then follow your path.
So,
Part-time work, I'm not sure about it. Yes.
so
Yes, Nilesh.
I've heard all three of you, and I think all of you have valid points. One of you has done it, one of you has not done it, and still very successful. And you are beginning the corporate life, and you feel that a full-time MBA would be beneficial. Uh, Whatever I have seen in my experience, people doing well in the field of corporate within optometry domain, not corporate in general. Optometrists in corporate domain, I have seen that those who have started working first and then they climbed up the ladder, they have been more successful. And what happens is when you start working, no, what does MBA teach you? Actually, MBA teaches you what you are actually doing in the field. Okay. And I have also realized that MBA makes sense if you have a couple of years of experience of working. When you start doing MBA immediately after graduation, you find it very theoretical. You cannot relate to what they are teaching you. But if you've worked a couple of years, then suddenly it starts making so much more sense. It actually polishes off your skills rather than inculcating a lot of new skills. This is my understanding. Okay. So when you start working, the way you work, or you're thrown into such environment that you start learning these skills, you get knowledge of various domains, you start interpersonal, you start dealing with different kind of people, so automatically you develop your interpersonal skills. You're in a business environment, so your business understanding starts developing as well. So analytical skills also start developing. So in my experience, whatever I have seen with professionals in optometry, they are doing well when they start working first, and as they climb up the ladder, if it is required, they can, even the organizations are very helpful. If they find a talented person, and if they feel that I don't want to lose this person, and this person has reached this level, and now from here he has to jump to this level, and MBA is a must. Like, some of the positions actually require MBA as a basic qualification. Then the organizations actually support such people, and they help these people complete their MBAs. So I've seen this part also. So while I agree to you, Neha, partially, but in my experience, I've seen more of the other things which Rupam was explaining, where you start working first, and then if required, depending on where you want to work, you can get that additional qualification when it is required. And sometimes it is mandatory, yes.
But
So
it is
we talked,
advisable. I just have a question to Nilesh sir.
of course.
Is it advisable to, when you're working and then you go into, it is advisable to do a part-time course of MBA?
It is an executive MBA. It is much,
That-
it is slightly different, but the organizations are happy with that actually. They're okay with that.
Okay.
And most of the time they pay for it as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is basically the organization support if you are an asset to the organization. See, it's all about yourself, how well you have proven yourself. If you are a good professional and you have proven yourself to the organization will also don't want to lose you, and they'll support you. Sorry, Manashvi, if you have taken too much time on this question, but it's a little important because a lot of, final year students will have this.
Yes, of course, not at all. We're talking about groundwork and field work. So how difficult is it to cope with the management skills that are required for corporate sector for a person from medical background?
Solid question. Who
So,
wants to go
Mr.
first?
Nilesh.
If no one is going, then I'll do.
I would
Uh,
put some points here.
That's
I
the
think,
spirit, Neha. Go.
okay, so management, I think, is everywhere. So even if you are into a medical profession, even if you're doing go into a clinical, I think OPD management, patient management, data management, everywhere management is being practiced. So I think you can't, it starts from so small basic things, managing everything. So here, even in corporate, you have to manage a lot of things. Yes, definitely it will differ from the medical practices. But if you have a good management skill in your medical practices, and if you're switching from the clinics to corporate, I think you will shine here too. So I think here I would like to say that management skills you develop, and you also I would say myself, because I'm coming from a from clinics to a corporate. I would say that how I learn my management skill, I look upon my leaders out here who have very good management skills, and I do observe them, learn from them, learn from my mistakes, learn from their experience. So that's how you develop your management skills. And secondly, as we discussed earlier also, if you want to know more about your management, you can do management programs, MBAs, and other things. Rupam sir, Shravan sir, and Nilesh sir, you can put points here.
Yeah. You want me to go, Rupam? Are you okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
So I think management is a word which sounds so complicated, right? Management, kya hai ye management? But is it actually that complicated? A person who's running a house, is she not managing the house?
Of
Is
course.
my wife not managing my house? Is it not management? I think that requires tremendous amount of management skills. You would agree, right? So many things you have to look after. So inherently, I think we do have certain managerial or management skills. So the moment it's all here, it's all in the mindset. More importantly, I feel the moment you start thinking about a bigger picture, the moment you start thinking that it's not about me now, it's about the organization or it's about the team, then your perspective changes. Now you're not looking at how can I shine. Now you're looking at how will my team do better. What kind of environment will I provide my team so that they do better in their domains or their own profile, their own job. The moment you start thinking like that, you become a manager or a leader, right? So it's just here, it's in the mindset. We are just too much thinking about ourselves, mera kaam, mera profile, mera domain. The moment you start thinking, no, this is not what it's required. I need to, if it is a store, let us look at an optometrist who's working as an optometrist first, and now that person has been made a store manager, like what Rupam was saying कि क्यों नहीं बनते ये लोग store manager jaldi. And the reason is here in the mindset. An optometrist always thinks like only a clinician to begin with. His job is refraction karna patient ko. If required some recommendation, I will just give a recommendation and I'll ask the patient to go out and check the frame. That's where my job ends. The moment this person start thinking, no, why will I just think like this? Can I just think a little bit more? Can I think of how I can provide him a better service? Can I think of how I can get more patient from this patient? The moment you think like that, you are you're thinking management now. So I think it is just in the mindset. It's not so difficult. From your own small domain, when you start thinking of a larger picture, you start thinking of management. This is what I feel.
And if I can just pitch in onto that, sorry, Manas, you were saying something?
No, please continue.
So if I just can pitch it onto that is, how can you expect somebody from a different background to dispense the best spectacle or best contact lenses to a patient?
It's us, right? Who should take the lead here? And we don't do that. We don't do that.
The frame size, the facial wrap, the nose pads, the temple length, who is going to decide all of this? It's us. And how do you expect somebody from say for example, somebody coming from a burger background or somebody coming from a paints background to do that better than us? We are the best to do that, and we should do that. And to addition to that, first, as Nilesh was saying, as an extension of what you were telling is, whenever you join an organization, first find out what is the values of that organization, what is the vision of that organization, and what is the mission of that organization that they want to do. Then align yourself with your boss. You will know exactly what is expected out of you. And once you know that, management skill becomes very easy. Just follow that. So ensure that you grow, your organization grows, and your management skills are taken care of. That is what you need to manage. So mission, vision, and values of your organization is very important. And most of the people, unfortunately, don't know the mission, vision, and the values of the organization they're actually working for. So if we are very sure about that, I think we can probably move forward in that organization in a much more faster pace, because then our thoughts are aligned. So our management skill is taken care of already.
Mr. Shravan, anything that you would like to add here?
Yeah, I think everything is already well said, well covered. I just wanted to add only one point. What Saras said, Nilesh sir, team spirit, I think, is one of the key element. So the minute, as sir rightly said, it's when you think it's me alone, right? So and when you think I'm a part of a team, so you're already having the managerial skills. You're already getting into management. Knowingly, unknowingly, most times we get into management. So here, there is no need to make a demarcation like, this is management, this is non-management. So we are getting into management automatically. The minute you think as a team, because it's a company, right? So it's a pool of people. So So when you align, and also I would like to take one point from my colleague Rupam, what he said, like, most times what happens, this is especially for young optometry students. So when you're getting into a company, please do study about the company a little bit. When you're going for an interview, let's say if you're going for an interview of some X company, you need to really, spend some time to understand about the company, when it is started, where it is started, right? What is the company objective, right? And what is the company vision? All these things, if you do some time to understand, so then you are going to be really well prepared for an interview. Also, when you get a job, so you can align yourself as per the company objective. Once you align yourself as per company objective, automatically you'll be a part of a team. Suppose if you're not aligned, so you're having something in the mind, and the something is not matching to company objective. So then there's a mismatch. So even if you're a team, you are not a part of a team. You are just namesake in a team, but you are mentally not aligned to the team. So then absolutely you don't have any kind of team spirit, and your management skills are going to be out. Even if you have an MBA, I mean, I just wanted to add one point. I said that MBA, if you want to do, you can do, but again, you do an MBA for the namesake, for the official record's sake, but in the ground level, as rightly what Rupam has said, if you don't align to the company objectives, and if you don't have a team spirit, your MBA is going to be just in the books, just in the paper. It's just really piece of paper. It's of no use.
So one needs not be worried about the management skills because it's not so difficult. I think this would be the takeaway from here.
For an optometrist, I mean, I feel for an
optometrist,
much
yes,
easier.
of course.
Getting into management for an optometrist is always easier because you already have a hardcore optometry skills. Because every corporate sector, be it hospital, eye care domain, be it hospitals, be it contact lens, be it spectacle lenses, in every part of our, what do you call this industry, optometry is a backbone. So you already have the backbone, right? So it's just about having the team spirit, having some right skills, will easily get onto the management skills.
So I'd like to ask the next question to Mr. Shravan again. So what are the major corporate sectors or companies in optometry that one can choose to work with?
There are many companies these days. I mean, again, before answering to this question, I'll again say the same thing. You need to introspect yourself. Which corporate sector you want to get into? Is it like retail, or is it like manufacturing companies, or is it like into, surgical or diagnostic? So you need to really make your mind very clear. So where is your skills are lying? Where is your passion is lying? Otherwise, it will be a mismatch. So there are many companies like Carl Zeiss, SLR, Hoya, right? Seiko, Shamir, Rodon Stock. There are so many companies are
These
there.
are ophthalmic lens manufacturing, what you're saying now.
Also manufacturing. In manufacturing also you have regional, even these days, small time labs are also, I've seen the trend picking up very much in India. It's actually very good sign. Even the small time labs, even in the regional level also, right? So they are interested to recruit optometrists. I just heard about one lab in down in Kochi. They are asking me, like, can you recommend me some optometrist? So they are also understanding the importance of hiring an optometrist. So it's not just about the big MNCs. So even the small time labs are also interested nowadays to hire an optometrist. That's in the manufacturing side. In the retail side, very, very well, Lenskart, Titan, right? Reliance with Vision Express, Lawrence and Mayo, Ben Franklin, also the regional chains. So there are so many optical firms, like in Bangalore, there are some regional chains, in Chennai, regional chains, right? So many companies are there. It's about the candidate interest level. So where he wanted to get into that. So if you wanted to get into the corporates, then you can grow into corporate ladder, or if you want to take up only the regional, so it's completely as per your choice. So there are so many companies. I feel jealous looking into this young optometrist student, because during my time, somewhere up to 18 years, 16 to 18 years back, there are very, very limited options. So now you guys have so many options to choose.
No, Shravan, you don't have to feel so jealous because the number of students coming out are also more now. So I think it is even out somewhere.
Yes.
I understand students are more, but also opportunities are more.
Opportunities are also more. So it's proportionately increasing. Right. So in addition to what Shravan said, no, Manashwi, so we have ophthalmic lenses, we have retail, we also have contact lens industry. We have opportunities in refractive surgery instruments and cataract
IOLs.
instruments also, and IOLs. So I think there are various, you can say, different domains where within corporate also there are different domains where you have opportunities like ophthalmic lenses, retail, contact lenses,
Frames, frames,
frames,
Seems, yeah.
IOL.
cataract, which has IOL and instrument both, and also refractive instruments. So there is
And
pool of
if I just add one more point with Nilesh sir is corporate social responsibilities. So most
CSR
of the companies now take
True, true,
Optoms
true,
for the
true.
or
CSR part
CSR
entirely.
also.
Yeah.
So that
And
is also a
also
part.
And there could be some admin roles as well, not exactly corporate, but admin roles where you might have an organization, let us say like IVI, they might require a project manager. IACLE, though IACLE is not a corporate, but the role is more like an administrator and managing stuff. So the work is similar to corporate. So these are also some additional, profiles coming up. So I think there is good number of opportunities coming up.
What would be the chief responsibilities of an optometrist working in any of those sectors? Could we elaborate on that? Starting with, yes, Mr. Rupam.
Oh,
You
okay.
can, Rupam, you can talk about, something in contact lens training or professional
Yes.
services.
So first and foremost, though it depends on the sector and the designation at which you are working for, but if you ask me, the primary responsibilities that we need to have is obviously, educating the eye care practitioners on science, technology, and innovation. And obviously, a part of it goes into your troubleshooting, which normally I learned as turning complaints into compliments. How you faster do that in my detailed experience. Then you have to have a human resource management, data analysis skills. So these are the core part, and the most important is the educating ECPs on science and technology and dealing with the patients and those patients who are not happy with the service or not happy with one particular product. So how do you make that patient happy? So these are the two parts. And so when there was a question whether corporate requires clinical knowledge or not, well, it requires clinical knowledge to the last level because
It
you are doing
bloody well
troubleshooting day in and day
requires,
out.
it bloody well requires a lot of clinical knowledge.
Absolutely, because you are doing troubleshooting, and that is the most important part. So if you do not have the clinical knowledge, you will not be able to do a troubleshooting. Dispensing is far more easier than actually doing a troubleshooting on ground, and to an angry patient who is already not happy with that particular, lenses, ophthalmic lenses or contact lenses, whatever is put into the eye. So education, obviously, and keeping the ECPs updated on ECPs, eye care practitioners. ECP is updated on science, technology, and innovation is also important. So that is the main part. If you're into a managerial role, obviously human resource, how do you manage people, how happy people are working with you and how they want to get associated with you, and obviously the data analysis skill as well, which is very important, because anything in corporate, what you say, our opinion does not matter. Anything which is there on numbers is matter. So that's the fact. So that data analysis is also very important when you work on the corporate part. So I think that is, as per me, is the chief requirements or the job responsibilities that you will have.
Mr. Shravan, anything that you would like to add here?
Yeah, so the job responsibility again depends on the type of job you're into. In corporate, it's a big ocean,
Yes, of
corporate
course.
world. So there are so many jobs are there in the corporate world, and almost on every job, optometrist can easily plug in. So it depends on the type of job, depends on the job description. But overall, as what my colleague Rupam said, so you must have optometry skills. So that's the essence. Without that, everything else will be diluted. And the most important thing in corporate sector, especially the job what I am and Rupam is doing, meeting opticians, meeting optometrists, meeting ophthalmologists, such kind of jobs require one very important thing, that is ability to convert hardcore technical into the easy language to explain, the easy language to understand, because whatever the knowledge we are imparting into the optometrist are store opticians, so that is for the sake of giving it to the end consumer. End consumer doesn't like too much of technology, right? So he needs only the benefits. He needs only how you can convert this hardcore technology into easy understanding language. So that is also one of the most important element, which a corporate optometrist must be having it. So I think that's very, very important. Even though you have a lot of certification, lot of skills, if you're not good at, convincing, or if you're not good into explaining into easy terms or easy language, so that will be very difficult. Of course, yeah,
Um,
optometry is a backbone. Optometry is a backbone. Optometry skills is very much required apart from other areas.
and what would be the responsibilities? We're more focused on the responsibilities as of now.
Responsibilities, like, again, depends on job. Let's say, if you are having
Something similar to your profile,
yeah,
Shravan. So that will help you define.
yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you're into clinical application specialist or training specialist, right? So the main job responsibility is meeting optometrists, opticians, and giving them technical trainings, technical knowledge, and also ability to do troubleshootings, right? So these are the most important thing, and also presentation skills. Yeah. So one must have good skills of presentation, right, and good skills of negotiation, because sometimes you may be doing a meeting along with a salesperson. Let's say the salesperson wanted to sell a particular eye testing instrument, so he has only the price in the mind, but he has no knowledge about the instrument. Let's say the optician is already, zeroed into some brand autorefractometer. So whereas you want, the salesman want to take your help. So you need to be really good at optometry skill. At the same time, you must also have some skills of negotiation, right? Some skills of business. So these things are also will be helpful.
So can I quickly summarize the job responsibilities? So the most of the optometrists in corporate are working as professional services, where internal and external trainings are a major part of their responsibilities, which is training their own sales team to be able to, talk about the products better when they are discussing it with the eye care practitioner. That is called as internal training. External training means they actually go out and talk to the eye care practitioners about their product or about um, a new technology launched or a new product launch. That is external training. So this around 60 to 70% of their job profile is within internal and external trainings. Then there is something called as medical messaging, where you have to talk about your product, how it performs vis-a-vis other product. Okay. And that you just cannot say that, we have come up with the best product in the world. So you have to prepare a scientific document with evidence that why am I saying that this is a really good product, right? So this is an important aspect of the professional services team, that they talk about the science behind the product and how their product is actually good. Okay. Then troubleshooting, where some people are not happy with the product. What could be the problem? What is the step-by-step method to solve this problem? Sometimes they directly go and do that with the patient. Sometimes they have to train the eye care practitioners to be able to do that. So that is another aspect of that. Then helping the marketing and the sales team design communication. That is also an important aspect, because as optometrists we know the technical aspect of the product, but how do you make it easy as a consumer or a patient level communication, where the marketing team will require your support and your inputs. So that is also a job profile of the optometrist. So this is mota mainly what the optometrist does in a professional services profile.
Thank you, Mr. Nilesh. Ms. Neha, I would like to ask you the next question. This is from our audience. So most of the corporate sectors look for an optometrist who have a minimum of 2 years of experience in corporate sector. So how convenient is it for a fresher to get into corporate?
I think this was we spoke about earlier, that the point was the campus interviews. Okay, if you are good with your, whatever we look into our optometrist or the corporate or the person we are, the employee we are hiring into, I think we were talking about the optometry skills. I think the base is the clinical part. If you're very good with your clinical optometry, if you've done well with your internship, and your basics are very clear. Sometimes, we talk about a lot of complexity. Whenever we go for an interview, we think, okay, the complex questions and the complex answer. But I think it is the basics which actually makes you, it is your X factor if you are very good with basics. And I bet you, very few people are very good with their basics. So I think basic knowledge is very important. Rather than, there are few companies that I think most of the UAE companies do require a 2 years of experience in the retail sector, and then you get into corporate. But if you have a corporate in the corporate company, if there is a requirement of an exponential person, and you have that confidence and you have that skills, then people will pick you from the campus interview itself. Secondly, why you require a 2 years, why some companies do require a 2 years of experience, just to have a gist about the corporate. If you are into a retail sector, if you're into a store, if you're suppose you are into you are a store optometrist at an optical outlet, I would definitely suggest you to go step by step. If you go into the retail first, you become you work into the store as a store optometrist, you will actually get experience how the corporate world works. It is very different. If you directly jump into corporate with no knowledge or no experience, and then for few months you will be like, where I am, what, because you everything will be like, coming up, and you'll not be able to handle that pressure or stress, because it is competitive, because it is not difficult, but yes, it is a little it is little different. It is very different maybe from the clinical part, what we are doing 9 to 5, or in the OPD, you're done with the OPD and it is gone. But it is not like that in your corporate sector. It is different, and you are at the forefront. You should have that confidence, you should have the communication skills, right? That's why that's why many of the companies do want you to have that 2 years of experience, so that you understand how the corporate works. And I will say that when you are into stores, you will have that exposure of training as well. So if you want to become a trainer in the future, or go into professional services as Rupam sir and everybody are, so that is one thing you get exposed to, how the trainers come in, how they teach you, how is their body language. That's what you will get exposed with, and that's how your 2 years of experience will count. How you manage, I think the exposure is important before you get into the higher corporate roles. So that's why many companies do require a 2 years experience, and I would also suggest you to have a step-by-step process.
Thank you, Ms. Neha. Mr. Rupam, I would like to ask you the next question. So we talked about the corporate sector being a glamorous field, like Mr. Nilesh has also compared this sector to Bollywood. So what are the attracting points of corporate field for the young optometrist? Could we summarize that?
Yeah, obviously. So one of that attracting point is those Facebook posts you can do at various events and at various hotels, and you can pose for those events, and you pose with the top notch personalities of the industry. So for example, I have probably around I was calculating that day, and on one particular phone, which is this phone, I have almost around 12 photos with Mr. Nilesh Thite. So that is an added advantage. Obviously, I have around 4 photos with Neha as well. So, that is an added advantage. That is the glamorous part. But if you honestly ask me, what drives me towards corporate is the exposure that you get. The amount of exposure that you get, the growth potential that corporates have, both in terms of your knowledge professionally, and as you grow, you also grow personally as well, because you learn from so many people. When we start doing optometry, when we first get the result of optometry, we all become slightly egoistic in nature. We think, okay, optometry is this, optometry is that. But as time goes on, you will learn to be a better human being before, and then become a better optometrist first, and then keep your egos and everything aside. So this exposure, when I got exposed to, say, for example, there are a lot of personalities in the industry I can talk about. So even if you see, Mr. Shravan, extremely knowledgeable, Ms. Neha, extremely knowledgeable, Mr. Nilesh Thite, extremely down to earth. One more person I should talk about here is, Mr. Yashwant Saoji, a fantastic human being if you talk to him at any given point of time. My first boss, Mr. Sri Prakash, fantastic person. So these exposures that you get in the corporate is fantastic. You learn from different people from different backgrounds, and everybody has something to teach you, which is going to make you a better optometrist and a better human being at the later part of your career. So that is the biggest glamour for me. And obviously those hotels you cannot miss out. And one more part, I was a huge foodie at one point of time. So if you're in corporate, you are really slogging it out every day out in the field. You can have anything you feel like having, because most of the time the companies do pay for it as well. So
That is
that
really
is another
tempting.
glamorous part.
May
Yes.
I just add?
You missed
Yes,
you missed the traveling, Rupam.
Yes.
Traveling.
But there is another part is sometimes you have to catch a 4 o'clock flight and come back at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock flight at night. So, and sometimes your flight gets cancelled, so you are stranded at the airport itself for an entire night.
So you become rich with the experiences, no?
Yes.
Those are all perks.
Yes.
You have so many
absolutely.
stories to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of stories to tell. That's for sure. I cannot agree more on that. So that's absolutely there. So I think this is the glamorous part. But as everybody said, Mr. Shravan said, Nilesh sir said, do remember that for that one day of glamorous photograph that we put on our Facebook, there are 26 days of very hard work, going out, or probably if you're in Mumbai, like I am, the local trains, visiting people, traveling at 2 o'clock at night, traveling at 4 o'clock night, in the early morning to the airport. So all of those hard work gives you that final glamorous photograph that we put on our Facebook, and that final beautiful hotel that we normally visit when we have conferences and all. So those glamour is always there, but you learn a lot of things as well in corporate. So the growth,
Also,
if you ask me, is the
also
best part.
how I'm sorry to
Yeah, please go ahead.
how attractive is the financial aspect of it? If we could.
Financial aspect, obviously, I would talk. I'll first revisit one sentence which Mr. Shravan said in the beginning. If you are a fresher, do not expect too much. Okay, do not expect your company to give you a mobile phone, give you a car, give you a laptop, and everything, and give you a huge amount of money as well. It comes with knowledge, and it comes with how you have grown into the corporate sector, and it comes with the opinion of a lot of people who you work with and what is their part. So obviously, it pays out. It pays out good enough, but you have to have that years of experience, and you have to grow slowly and steadily. So just for an example, there are people who talk about, say, for example, I'll again tell one of those examples as, let us take as Mr. Yashwant Savali. He is very successful. He talks about it, though he's not in corporate, but I'm just giving an example. If he talks about, orthokeratology today, or if he talks about myopia control today, at some point of time he has fitted soft contact lenses. At some point of time he has made himself expert in RGP to get into that platform, right? So it is not very easy. So you have to gradually go ahead. But if you really ask me, you can run your family very easily. If you have a girlfriend, you can get married very soon as well. If you really want to get married and settle down, it pays for that. That's obviously there. So that much of money is always there in the corporate sector. But don't expect something very huge. It will come with time and experience. And how long can you keep tagging yourself to a company, to an organization? That also makes a lot of difference as well. And how you develop your skill set, money comes with that. So to EARN, you have to LEARN. First, when you drive a car, you have a learner certificate, right? Then you become a better driver. So to earn more, so the car to move faster, or to get a bigger car, get a better car with a better engine and horsepower, you have to put that L. So learn and then earn as much as possible. And there is no limit to it at the later stages.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Shravan. What, according to you, are the attracting points of corporate field for young optometrists?
The attractive points for the young optometrist, of course, the glamour side of the corporate field, also money. So most of all optometry students will think that getting into corporate optometry will give me big money, but please don't have that mindset. So nobody is ready, like come, I will give you some 1 lakh rupee salary, or come, I will give you 60K salary. That doesn't happen. It may be plus or minus 10,000, 20,000 more than what you get as a fresher into optical retail as a store optometrist, but overall it is the similar. It's not like too much of variance as a starting fresher salary. So I don't think that should be the attractive point for a young optometrist. So the attractive point should be like, if I'm getting into corporate optometry, I will be exposed to multidimensional. So whereas if you stuck to only one store, you'll be having only 3-4 people to work with. If you're getting into corporate field, so you are exposed to so many domains like supply chain, marketing, sales. So that should be the attractive point. So I'm getting into exposure to multidimensional, whereas I'm getting the skills from various parts of optometry in a very short span of time. We work for 2 to 3 years of time, and that's when you should actually think about the money. So please don't keep the money as objective. Don't keep the money as attractive point. If you're getting into corporate, if you're having that mindedness, I'm sorry to say, you'll end up quitting corporate field. I've seen a lot of optometry students joining as a fresher into corporate. Within a span of 6 months to 1 year, they're quitting. They're going back to academics, or they're going back to further education. The reason is they are not prepared their mind to get into optometry. So maybe their attractive point is not well defined. So the attractive point has to be well defined within one's mind. What is my attractive point? If it is money is the only objective, sorry, nowhere you go, you keep money as objective in the beginning of your career, that doesn't work out. It will never work out, right? So you need to prove yourself. You need to prove yourself in every part of optometric career. Only then you can expect the money. So please keep attractive point as per the job you're getting into. If you're getting into corporate primarily, keep your attractive point as I'm going to learn, so many parts of optometry. So that should be the primary agenda.
Mr. Nilesh, anything that you would like to add here?
I didn't get. I was just sneezing at the very moment.
So the attractive points of corporate
attractive
field.
points. Okay.
Yes.
So I think the attractive point is both of them summarize them very well. To me, what was attractive with corporate is the exposure that you get, the kind of people you meet, the traveling that you get. This is what really attracted me. Money, of course, it is better than most of the other domains within optometry. I would slightly differ with them. They're discouraging people. If you're thinking of money, don't join corporate. It's not that. I'm sure they know that. They just want to give you correct habits that you should not run after money. That's what they want to say. But if you look at the money also, in isolation, it's better than most of the other domains. So yes, if you want to have a comfortable life, there is no harm. If you're thinking, you want to earn more money, there's nothing wrong with that. Just that what someone says is important. In the initial stage, even if you want to earn a lot of money, first couple of years, you might have to invest in terms of experience and skill set, and then you can start earning money. So again, coming back to your question, the benefits were exposure, meeting various people, and the way you groom yourself, your personality changes. From introvert you become extrovert, because that's what the corporate demands of you. So even if you are someone who's not very proactive, you would like to sit in the corner when there is a group of people around you. But when you join corporate, because suddenly these become your customers and you cannot just sit in the corner on your own. So what you have to do is you have to be proactive. You have to go and you have to go up to them and start the conversation. This changes your personality also. So it teaches you a lot. One important thing I learned in my life is, because I had done a lot of education. I was in academia before joining corporate, 9 or 10 years of academia. So I was so much used to people calling me sir and all those things, so-called respect factor. Everyone will say, hi sir, how are you sir, this sir, that sir. And when you become a corporate professional, that goes. So suddenly you're someone who's representing an organization. So the same people who would otherwise call you, yes sir, how are you sir, will suddenly come back and tell you, I did not get my lenses in time, what is happening with your organization? So that is how they start the conversation. So suddenly it's a change in your mindset. You cannot just have the same ego and the same level of expectations from all the people. So that is an important change in mindset we need to understand, especially if we have spent more time in the other domain, right? So to me, that was a very important experience. It kept me grounded. It made me realize that I haven't earned this everywhere yet. I have to still keep proving myself. So that was a good leveler. So I think that it teaches you a lot of lessons, because you meet so many people who are more exposed, who are more knowledgeable in business sense. They have so much more knowledge that you realize that you're just a small fish in the pond. So it's a good leveler. So that was important for me. It taught me that. And yes, it gave me a comfortable life as well. So these are the plus points. Do you also want to know the minus points?
Of course. Of
The
course, sir, of
minus
course.
points are, there are no working hours as such. You have to work whatever time you want. You're not responsible for just your own tasks, but you have to look at the entire team's task and the organization's task. So sometimes you would have done extremely well in what was given specifically to you, but your team did not perform well and you're a part of the team. It's like I scored a century, but I lost. But India lost the match. It doesn't work. It counts as a loss, right? So the same thing applies in corporate also. Um, the teamwork, the entire team's performance counts. So it's not just you have to coordinate with various people and get work done from them also. So that is important. Um, Work timings, there are no work timings. Rupam mentioned that sometimes at 1 o'clock you have to board a flight, you have to leave your home at 11 o'clock. So sometimes this gets disturbed. It disturbs the family life, gets disturbed initially because of this excessive traveling at times. Of course, you get used to it and you become a more methodical person. You learn how to do that. You have a bag kept which is packed, so you know that I'll pick this bag and go. So you learn to be, a bit more methodical, conscientious. So it teaches you that also. But of course, these are a couple of, downsides also.
Thank you, Mr. Nilesh. Ms. Neha, what was your experience regarding this? What attracted you in the first place, and what do you think are any other attracting points if you would like to add to the
I
discussion?
think it was well summarized by Nilesh sir. I think he said everything because he also comes from the academic background, even I. So for me, attraction was one thing. I would say that the fame you get, I think people start knowing you, which you even if you were the best clinician in the world. I think if you are working under a doctor or into a clinic, I think nobody will recognize you that way. But the exposure you get here is one thing which attracted me. Second thing is definitely a good lifestyle. You think the personality changes a lot. What was I 2 years ago and today where I stand is definitely there's a huge change. People who know me, they know about it. So that is one thing that attracted me, that the growth and the fame and the exposure, and definitely the lucrative salary also. But yeah, it is rightly said, you won't get you won't until you prove yourself, you won't get a you won't get a very high package or something like that. So you don't think that you only for salary you move to corporate, but definitely it is an overall personality development and your exposure and the growth you get. So I think these three aspects are something which attracted me towards corporate.
So money isn't a huge factor, but it is a
Yes.
huge factor.
And there's nothing wrong about it.
Of course. So we are nearing the end of the session now. I'd like to ask the last question. What would be your suggestions and any message that you would want to give to optometrists who wish to choose their corporate sector as their career options? Starting with Mr. Nilesh.
Oh, cool. I think people need to understand that it's not just style. It is the style will come only when you have substance. So style without substance will not take you anywhere. If you have substance, and then you can have good style, and then becomes a package. Okay. So a lot of people think that I just have to do a good packaging. No, you need to have content first. Only then you can package the content well. So think about grooming your basic optometry knowledge and skills first. That is a prerequisite to anything you do as an optometrist. I cannot emphasize this enough. When I interview people, I have interviewed a lot of people for corporate as well. When I interview people, the first thing I ask about is about the optometry knowledge. I don't ask questions on which will tell them which will tell me more about the other things, their managerial skills and so on. I ask very simple question. If a patient comes to you like this, how do you handle this question, and how do you communicate this to your patient? This is as simple as it is. And I think Neha also mentioned that basics are very important. I have been the biggest, I would say, admirer of basics and fundamentals, and Shravan would know that. He was a student when I was teaching at that time. So for me, if you don't know advanced things, it's absolutely fine. If you don't know aberrometers, I have no issues with that. If you don't know retinoscopy, I have a serious issue with that. Okay. So learn the basic skills first and the basic optometry knowledge first, and then you can develop the other stuff very easily. And of course, communication skills and presentation skills are important, but that you can groom yourself. There is nothing that you cannot groom yourself in. And I tell you very honestly, because I have gone through that from a very ordinary person to manageable, so that people are at least listening to me right now. So if I can do that, a very average person can do that with very limited skills in communication and presentation. Today's youngsters are far, far, far better than what I was when I was a student. So you guys are in a position which is much, much better than we were. There are more opportunities coming through. So if you want to take corporate as a career option, absolutely nobody can stop you. Just that walk the path genuinely and sincerely, and you'll reach there.
Thank you, Mr. Nilesh. Mr. Shravan, what would your suggestion and message be for for the students or any optometrists who wish to pursue their career in corporate sector?
So my suggestion, as per my experience, I just wanted to share. So don't expect too much. Again, I'm repeating the same thing. Like if you're a fresher, if you have an experience already 3-4 years, expecting some salary, might be good to go. But as a fresher, please do not ever quote about how much salary I'm going to get, because this is the first question whenever I'm going to interview someone, the first question is asked is how much salary is, how much package. I think that's really like turns off the interviewer. So you must be having the mindset of flexibility. One, you must be very flexible and down to earth personality. And of course, the most important thing, you must have your optometry skills right. If you're getting into dispensing optometry, you must have dispensing skills very good. If you're getting into contact lens industry, you must have contact lens skills really very good. If you're getting into medical, IOL, surgical, right, you must have medical optometry skills very well. So that's the very important thing. And without that, everything else will become zero. You must have your basic optometry skills set very much well, and at the same time flexibility, willingness to learn, right, team spirit. So all these things need to be as a package, and also a good mix of hard work and smart work skills and innovativeness. So these are the skill sets required. I mean, for an optometrist to be successful into corporate sector. So my suggestion is for especially for fourth year graduates who wanted to get into corporate, it's a really good choice to get into corporate optometry field. But please do not keep your expectations too much, at least in the initial 1 to 2 years, until you prove yourself. Once you prove yourself to the organization, sometimes will be surprised. They may pay you much higher than what you expect. You may be expecting like I should get 10,000 additional increment in the salary, but surprisingly you may be getting 20,000 rupees more than what you're expecting. That can be happening to you.
This is what everyone was waiting to hear, Shravan. You took it so long.
Yes. So I would just like to
Money is
take
the only
one
one
question.
aspect, please.
I would like to
Um,
take one more question from our audience for Mr. Shravan here. You have an FPDO, right? So is FPDO beneficial for entry into the spectacle or a spectacle lens industry? This question is from our audience.
Okay, to be very honest, FBDO, I don't think so. It's going to help you much in India, because in India we're all well aware. I mean, optometry itself is like struggling to get proper recognition, and opticianry is actually far away dream. So opticianry systematic approach, opticianry having a qualification in India, I think it will take another at least 50 to 100 years. I mean, I'm being very realistic. So I don't think so. It's going to help you very much. A country like, I mean, especially our country. If you want to get into UK, especially FBDO is recognized into UK, also some parts of Australia, but in US, in Canada, they have their own courses. If you want to go to US, so there is a different course out of it. It's called ABO, American Board of Opticianry, right? It's called ABOC certification course, then ABOM master's course. FBDO is a kind of master course. It's a fellowship degree. It's actually a very good course. If you're looking into earn some good skill sets, if you wanted to learn more about dispensing deeper, so then you can do FBDO. But expecting FBDO that I'll get a better job, get a better promotion, or better package, especially in India, my experience is it's really not going to help you. If you're getting into abroad, I don't think so, even in Middle East, because I've spoken to a lot of my friends, a lot of employees in Middle East, they hardly know about what is FBDO. They don't even know FBDO full form. That's the reality. So it's not going to help in the Gulf region. It's not going to help in India, particularly when you think about getting a promotion, getting a high pay package, getting a better job. I don't think so. It's going to help maybe in the future, but in the current times, it's not going to help. But if you want to move out of India, if you want to pursue a career in UK, yes, definitely FBDO is going to help a lot. In UK, FBDO is actually well recognized. It's almost all at par to optometry. So they call as ophthalmic opticians, dispensing optician, getting into optometry. You can also get into bridging course. Once you do FBDO, you can do some career progression. You can easily get into optometry. Instead of getting investing into 4 or 5 years in optometry graduation, you can just get into 18 months bridging course and you can become a qualified optometrist in UK. In Australia, absolutely no. FBDO will not help you any much to become an optometrist. But you will be into into opticianry. Maybe you can climb the corporate ladder with FBDO. You can maybe you can join as an optician, right, in the store level. Then you can become a store manager. Then you can gradually grow into that corporate ladder. But being an FBDO, getting into optometry, In Australia, it's not going to help you. But in UK, yes, UK, you can change your role from optician to optometry by some bridging courses. But in India, as per I have seen, it is not going to help you much in the current scenario.
Thank you, Mr. Shravan. Mr. Rupam, any suggestion and messages that you would want to pass to optometrists who wish to choose a career in corporate sector, also drawing from your own experiences?
Yes, obviously. So most of the thing Mr. Nilesh has said, Nilesh sir has said, and Mr. Shravan has said is absolutely right. And to revisit one thing which Neha said in the beginning was there is an ocean of opportunities as well. So obviously there is an ocean of opportunities. Now I have just two messages apart from what these panelists already said, the learned panelist already said is sometimes you might not be noticed in the beginning. Sometimes you might not get into the position that you want, right? But then just put your tireless effort to make yourself better and have patience. Initially you will be noticed. If you're really really good, you will be noticed and you will be taken into corporate as well. So in the beginning, if you think that okay, I'm so good, I am better than that guy over there, but I'm not getting that, and you lose hope, please don't do that. Keep on doing the best work you can be the best optometrist possible, be the best human being possible. Put on your tireless effort and have a patience, a bit of a patience, and eventually you will be noticed, you will be picked up for sure. So apart from everything they said, I would just like to add these 2 points only. So tireless effort and patience.
Thank you, Mr. Rupam. Ms. Neha, any suggestion or message from your
Um,
experience?
I think well covered by Nilesh sir, Shravan sir, and Rupam sir. But I will add on Rupam sir, there's no shortcut to hard work. And one thing I would want to tell, if you want to get into corporate, come out of your comfort zone. Okay, don't restrict yourself to one zone. Come out of it. Never stop learning. I think learn if you have that just in you to learn more and more. I think you can really do well in your life. And third part is like welcome to optometry outside the clinic. So there is optometry, more of optometry, even outside the clinic. So welcome that. I think these three things, coming up out of the comfort zone, hard work and knowledge. I think don't stop learning. I think continue. Knowledge is very important. Keep learning. And yes, welcome to optometry outside clinic, I would say.
Thank you, Ms. Neha. Now we have arrived towards the end of the panel discussion. I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to all of our panelists for a wonderful discussion today and great insights. I hope our audiences listening to us today also have enjoyed the discussion. So before wrapping up, I would like to ask our panelists about their experience on the session today, starting with Mr. Nilesh again.
Okay, starting with me again. Thank you so much, Manashvi. Um, First of all, I think it was a pleasure for me also to be a part of this discussion because, as I said in the beginning, more than me, I wanted to listen to these young professionals who are doing so well in the respective field. So I was very keen to listen to their views, and I'm very happy the way they have put forward, their views and their experiences and the way they think about the profession. So congratulations to all three of you. You are doing great in your respective field, and I'm extremely happy and I feel proud that I've been associated with you in, at some level, somewhere or the other. So very well done. And Manashvi, I think you are a very good moderator and a facilitator. Continue doing
Thank you,
what you're
sir.
doing so well. You have a very beautiful voice and the way of conducting these sessions. So continue doing that. And
Thank you, sir.
I want to congratulate the entire team of ForOptom as well, because they've been doing this consistently for quite some time now. And I think you're getting good number of people attending this. And there are a lot of students and young optometrists who are getting benefited by these sessions. So overall, to me, it was a pleasure being a part of this. I enjoyed this thoroughly. I loved these three youngsters and you did a phenomenal job. So thank you everyone who's attending this session as well. Keep having us off and on, and we'll keep doing this as and when required.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. Of course, we will be in contact and we will be bringing out great sessions in contact. So, Mr. Rupam, what was your experience in
No,
the
it was
session today?
amazing. It was amazing. And, to have somebody like Mr. Shravan, Ms. Neha, Mr. Nilesh Thite, who has always been a guide and mentor at various stages of life. to be on the same platform was fantastic. Obviously, I completely agree with Nilesh sir about your moderation skills as a moderator. Fantastic. Your voice is also absolutely, it's really nice. And the way you talk is fantastic on that. So that's really good. ForOptom is doing a fantastic job, in upgrading the knowledge of the students and the practitioners as well. So that's a commendable job over there. Wish all of you guys were born probably at our time. So when we were studying optometry, we could have got this exposure. It would have
Good they
really
were
helped
not.
us to
Good they
grow
were not.
much.
Itni competition hoti, you wouldn't have got any opportunity.
True, that's true as well. Obviously, that's true as well. But a fantastic job done by all of you, and I always would like to be a part of it, grab the opportunity, and probably your team knows whenever you have said something to me, I've never said no so far. So, and in future also, I think I'll not do that as well. So, yeah, thank you very much for even having me over here, and it is always a pleasure to interact with fellow optometrists and students. So thank you for that opportunity. And thank you, sir. Thank you, Nilesh, sir, for that compliment as well. Yeah. So, it really encourages us to move forward with a much more positive attitude. Thank you for that. And stay
Thank
safe,
you.
stay healthy, protect yourself from this deadly virus that we're having as of now. So stay safe because you are most important, because you are the future of optometry. So take care, guys.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Mr. Rupam. And of course, these kind of encouraging words always propel us to work harder and bring more positive things and more products that would be beneficial to optometrist community. Coming to Mr. Shravan, what was your experience in the session today?
First of all, I want to say thanks to ForOptom for picking me as panelist. So actually, to be next to Nilesh sir, who is a guru. So whatever I am today, it's just because of him. I have a high gratitude towards this person. Amazing person as a human being, as we are all known. He's the best in optometry domain. I mean, if you see the best in the world, I think he's coming into top five. So it's like privilege for me. I was a student, and now being a part of the panelist, next to him, I feel it's really privilege to me. I'm thankful to ForOptom also engaging a discussion for students. You reduced by 20 years of my age. Thanks for that. I become like now I feel like I'm getting into my 20s. So for that, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to interact with youngsters, and it also gives me a lot of happiness to share my experience, because maybe someday someone will get benefit out of it. So that gives a lot of happiness and satisfaction. Also, rightly as Rupam has said, please take care of yourself. It's a very deadly virus. We are all living into unprecedented times. Please do take care of yourself, because you are the pillar of eye care society. So if you're not there, society will collapse. So please do take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for
And
your kind words, Mr. Shravan. It was an absolute pleasure to have all of you here. Ms. Neha, what was your experience in the session today?
Okay. Thank you, ForOptom team, for having me here. I think it is my great pleasure, and it's a proud moment for me for sharing the same platform as Rupam sir and Nilesh sir and Shravan sir together. I was so nervous, for coming out here, and the way these mentors are, they make you feel so ease. Nilesh sir said, Neha, don't worry, I'm there with you. So that's how this team and the panel members, the leaders are. So I am very fortunate. I feel myself very fortunate to come in the same platform with these people, and it's a really proud moment for me. And I'm going to count years. I was a panel member here. So thank you ForOptom for giving me an opportunity to share the platform with this such a great mentors, leaders. And I always tell I've never met Nilesh sir. I've always seen him like an Amitabh Bachchan. I always wanted to have that selfie with him. I never
So
got an opportunity.
that is my loss more than yours, Neha.
No, actually, yeah, no, no. Actually, the thing was, when I attended the master class, I couldn't meet you because you were busy around here. So this is, I think, my proud moment to come out, and Rupam sir definitely. So thank you, Manasvi. You are a great moderator. It was nice being. It was really nice. And thank you ForOptom and all the optometrists and all the people who are listening out here who joined. And wish you all a great stay at home, and and stay healthy. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind words, Miss Neha. And I would resonate with what you said. We have indeed wonderful seniors in our fields who, take care of us and always encourage us to move forward and do well in our field. So again, thank you so much for your kind words to all of our panelists. Thank you, Mr. Nilesh, Mr. Rupa, Ms. Neha, and Mr. Shravan, who I think has just left. So thank you for joining me today for the
Just
For
before
Optoms.
that, I have to mention Janak. He has been following up, and he was so persistent that he wanted to do this one. So I think a word of a compliment to Janak also for sticking to this and eventually getting this done. He's probably the silent worker behind this. People don't see him on this, but he's been working very hard. I can see that. So Janak and the entire team of ForOptom.
Yeah, Shakar
Thank
and
you.
obviously Sridhar as well. They have been doing a fantastic
Good
work
job, guys.
altogether.
Keep it up.
Yes, I would like to again thank you so much for being here with me and sharing the wonderful insights and your knowledge, of course. And this brings us to the end of this session. Thank you for joining me today. This session is, of course, live on YouTube and shall remain on the platform if any of our viewers wish to revisit it or have missed any part of the discussion. I would also like to thank our audience for being here with us and for the love and support that you have shown to us and for Optom. We will be back in the future with more programs, sessions, and panel discussions. On that note, I would like to end the session here. Stay tuned for more programs by ForOptom. You can also visit us at www.foroptom.com and also join us on social media. This is your host Manashri signing off now. Stay home, stay safe, and have a good day. Thank